Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button for me as we're on the road to 100 subscribers. We're currently at around 86 at the time of recording the video this morning. So make sure to hit that for me as it just boosts the channel so much, helps support, and it just means the world to me. And it's also, if you like today's video, make sure to hit that like button as well. As again, it just boosts the channel so much. So thank you guys so much for coming here and watching the video today. Let's get into it. First topic today we have is we're now 1 week out from the first game of the NFL season next Thursday, Eagles versus Cowboys. I'll just say this as well. Next week, going into Thursday in the first games and Sunday, the first Sunday slate of games, definitely going to have a lot of predictions for the wins and losses. So make sure to stay tuned for that. If you don't know who's going to win the games, I'm telling you, I'm very good at predicting the winners and losers. So be ready for that next week. Lots of updates to my top 10 rankings we're going to do next Tuesday. We're finally into where I can do consistent rankings starting next week. So yeah, be ready because we got a full NFL season worth of rankings, win, losses, bets, everything. So if you love that, make sure to stay tuned to the channel. And as we're now officially 1 week out from the Eagles and Cowboys game next Thursday, I'll get my first winner and loser of that game. I'm going to take Philadelphia. A lot of weird stuff happens in the first week or two of the season, but there's a lot of weird stuff going on for Dallas right now, to be completely honest with you. Michael Parsons not playing. I think the defense is going to be kind of iffy. That offensive line is tough already as it is, playing without your best pass rusher, divisional game. I think the Cowboys definitely are. There's a lot of people talking about how the Cowboys don't stand a chance without Michael Parsons and stuff. I think they definitely do. I think they have a pretty good offense. I think Dak's going to come out there firing, to be honest with you. I think people really forget what the Cowboys look like with a healthy Dak Prescott. So it's not going to be the same team as last year. Mind you, that team was kind of making a playoff push last year. I mean, they were extremely solid at the end of the season last year. There was talks about them keeping Mike McCarthy. I knew it wasn't going to happen, but I actually thought they should have kept him. But the second you start talking about, okay, well, the coach is going to be gone after this year, and that was kind of the consensus on it, was everyone knew Mike McCarthy was going to be out of the building. But then they started playing really well, and they were talking about, well, maybe they should keep him. But I can tell you already, the relationship with him and Jerry Jones was pretty toxic at that point. When you talk about firing your coach and you have an owner like Jerry Jones, you already know at that point, even if I was the head coach, I wouldn't want to be there at all. There was no chance Mike McCarthy even wanted to be in Dallas next year for any of that. You have already all the news swirling with Dak and Mike, can Mike McCarthy even win a playoff game anymore and stuff, or get to the NFC Championship? So he was already kind of on the hot seat. He didn't want to deal with it. Dallas is an extremely loud market, as you can tell. You see the ball off season, you do every single time. So I think Dallas definitely stands a chance in this game. For one, it's a divisional game, and the first couple of weeks of every single season is strange anyway. If you remember the first couple of weeks last year, the New Orleans Saints were like the greatest team to ever touch the turf. I mean, they were just Derek Carr in that offense. They were just looking ridiculous. People were like, okay, is Dennis Allen, on the road to Coach of the Year, and he ended up getting fired. So it can all change so fast. The first couple of weeks of the NFL season is so strange. So you can't base who's going to be good the first 3 or 4 weeks. But by week 6 or 7, you get a base feeling of, okay, those teams kind of start fading out. And then you're like, okay, who's going to be picking up the number 1 overall pick? At that point, you have your teams that may have won the first couple of games that are now 1-5. I remember the Patriots last year won their first game against the Bengals, and people were like, okay, they look pretty good. And they played week 2 against the Seahawks, and they should have won that game. How they didn't is a crime. But they ended up losing, and then they were like or by week 3, they played the Jets and just looked completely outmatched, and then they were like 1-5 or something. It was already over by like week 3. So you start really getting the feel for what teams are bad and good by about week 5. You do. There's the teams that get their first couple of wins and surprise wins start fading out fast. So, the first couple of weeks, like I said, are just kind of strange. But I'm still going to take the Eagles anyway. It is a divisional game. Divisional games always get weird. I mean, you can look at the AFC. You can look at any division at all. The AFC North, I'm just going to mention that Baltimore at least loses a game against the Browns. The games they really should lose against the Steelers every year. Some crazy defensive play happens, or just something ridiculous. I don't know. Because it's a divisional game. A lot of weird stuff with divisional games. Cincinnati and Baltimore have ridiculous offensive shootouts against each other. So that's going to be a lot of Cincinnati's games this year, by the way, is crazy offensive shootouts because their defense is still not going to be very good. So I'm going to take Philadelphia in that game. I think the game's going to actually be decently close. I don't think the game's going to be a blowout again. Week 1, you have a lot of guys finally getting back into their regular season forms. So a lot of those guys are going to be out there kind of playing cold. So you may not see them playing at their best. You'll see guys you probably never heard of go in there making plays and stuff. So, I mean, you do every week, but this is specifically more in the first couple of weeks. So I think the game is not going to be a blowout. I've seen some talks of Philadelphia is going to blow Dallas out of the water because Michael Parsons wants the Cowboys defense to suck so they can pay him. And I'm just like, for one, the Cowboys defense isn't going to play bad. So they can pay Michael Parsons in week 2 or week 3 or whatever. They're just not. I think the defense actually has some talent on it anyway. Now, Michael Parsons is their best defensive player, but I think they'll definitely be all right. Don't think they'll win, but I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. This is not going to be a blowout game. In week 1, divisional game, no. I think it might be in Dallas. No, it might be in Philly, actually. I forget. I can't remember which one it's in. But either way, it's still going to be close. Next thing I want to talk about is, could the Eagles go back-to-back this season? I just kind of wanted to talk about it since I'm already on the topic of the Philadelphia Eagles anyway. I think they absolutely could. The only real competition I feel like they have in the NFC, to be honest with you, Washington does not quite feel like they're on the level of Philadelphia. Now, it's a divisional foe, so things can always get weird, even in the playoffs. But Dallas, no, to be honest with you, definitely not New York. Let me think of who else. Tampa. I'm just trying to think of who's probably going to win the division. Tampa and Atlanta definitely do not feel like they're quite on the tier of Philadelphia. Tampa can pull out some weird games, though. They beat Philadelphia pretty badly a couple years ago, but Philadelphia lost like 5 of their last 6 that season. Unless that happens again, I can't necessarily see that happening. Anything can happen. I'm not saying Philadelphia is a lock to win the Super Bowl. Take for example, let's say Chicago sneaks in the playoffs and beats Philadelphia. It could absolutely happen. You never ever know. So, but I'm just trying to go off of not surprises of who can really compete. I think Detroit can still compete with Philadelphia, to be completely honest with you. I really do. A lot of people are kind of more down on Detroit this year. I'm not necessarily down on them. Now, while they may not necessarily be quite as good as last year, at least to this point of what we think, they may not be as good as last year. I think they'll still be very good, though. They have that offensive line. They have offensive weapons like No Tomorrow and Jahmyr Gibbs. While Jared Goff may not necessarily be the clutchest playoff performer, he's still a very good quarterback. He is. He's been disappointing at times, there's no doubt, but he's still very good. So the offense is going to be humming. The defense is Hutchinson back. I'm sure they'll be pretty good. So, they did lose Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So we'll see the replacements for him. Can they be at that level? I don't necessarily think so, but only time will tell. But to be honest with you, the Eagles feel like the clear number 1 in the NFC. I think we can all agree there. I'm just trying to think of any other teams. Green Bay doesn't necessarily feel like they're quite on the level as Philly. Minnesota, I feel like I talked about them yesterday with McCarthy. I think I know he's in his second year, but he's still a rookie. He didn't play a single snap last year, so it's basically like JJ McCarthy's rookie year in terms of playing experience in the NFL. So I can't necessarily see them competing with them in terms of offense. Minnesota might have the best offense in the NFC, so I think they could definitely give them a little bit of a run for their money. But having a rookie quarterback, which I'm still calling, like I said, I'm still calling McCarthy a rookie right now to this point with no playing experience, is kind of tough. So, yeah, I don't really see any other teams competing with Philly. I think they could absolutely go back-to-back. Now, whether or not they win is one thing. I think they could definitely make the Super Bowl again. They re-signed a ton of their players. While they did lose like Milton Williams, but they did re-sign Zach Bond. They still got Zach Bond. They still have Saquon, Lane Johnson. I mean, they're key players. They still have their main group of guys. They got. The thing is with Philadelphia, they can afford to lose some talent because their depth is incredible on that team. No matter who it is, they seem to make up just an absolutely great player. Yeah, I mean, as long as you got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Lane Johnson, they re-signed Mailata, or however you pronounce his name, Zach Bond. Like I said, you still got Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, guys that you just drafted last year that are some of your youngest players on the team or some of your best players on your team, which is just crazy. Jalen Carter, so they're perfectly fine. That team is perfectly fine, regardless. Because I've seen some people say, well, they lost some players. Look at the players they still have. They didn't lose Saquon. They didn't lose Jalen Carter. They didn't lose Zach Bond, which a lot of people thought they were going to lose, and they didn't. They still have their best players, so they'll be okay. I think just getting to another Super Bowl for Philadelphia, getting to 3 within the last 4 years at this point, is you start maybe entering, okay, what if they do win? Are we maybe talking about Philadelphia as a dynasty now? There's a lot there for Philadelphia that's there for them. But if they win, you might be talking about potentially another dynasty. But they won the Super Bowl in 2017. So I don't know if you'd necessarily count that, but that wasn't even 10 years ago. That was like 8 years ago. Now, that team was different than this team, but that's still within a pretty timeable span. You could potentially 3 Super Bowls within the last 8 years and going to 4 of them within the last 8 years. You start maybe talking a dynasty, to be honest with you. You really have to start wondering. They still have a lot of young players on contracts. Could they maybe rival Kansas City so far in the 2020s? We thought Kansas City was by far and away the best dynasty of the 2020s. Well, Philadelphia could start rivaling that if they go back-to-back. I mean, 3 Super Bowl wins, like I said, in the last 7-8 years, and going to 3 in the last 4, and maybe winning 2. That's pretty good. And they have more on the horizon, to be honest with you. I definitely think they'll end up going to another one within the next 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. So there's a lot on the line for the Eagles this year. Like I said, they go back-to-back. We got dynasty talk in the making here for Philadelphia. So, and whether or not you like it, or whether or not you like Nick Sirianni, and you kind of question what he does, sometimes I still do. It's like, what does Nick Sirianni really do? He's winning games. He's genuinely winning games, so you do have to give him credit. A lot of people don't like him for that, but or like him in general. He does have a cocky attitude. And this is even crazy enough saying I have some Philadelphia Eagles friends, and even I just see the fan base in general. Some of them do not like Nick Sirianni. I mean, you remember earlier this year that his job was on the line. Because Philadelphia is legitimately a Super Bowl or bust kind of team. So, you got to give credit to Nick Sirianni, man. He's doing something. Whether or not we know what it is or not, he's doing something there. Next thing I want to talk about is college football this weekend. And some of my favorite games heading into it. Man, it feels good to have college football back in a couple of days. This Saturday, you had that big slew of games. Great games. And these are my favorites for the games, or my favorite games coming into this weekend. Texas versus Ohio State, of course, is going to be pretty much everyone's favorite. Now, maybe not your favorite, especially if you're not a fan of those teams. If whoever you're a fan of, obviously you'll like their game the best. But I think everyone's going to have this game on at some point. It's going to be in a crazy game. Ohio State coming off a national championship. Ranked number 3 versus number 1 Texas. Arch Manning in his first game. I mean, that's going to be something to see. I do have Texas winning the national championship, to be honest with you. I think Arch Manning. College football wants to push Arch Manning out like it's no tomorrow. You have another Manning name out there starting for an extremely talented team in Texas. They're going to want to push him out like no tomorrow. I mean, he's the next face of college football. If he isn't already, they're definitely going to want him out there. Definitely. I mean, he's a kid who's out there not, promoting to go to the transfer portal, which he could have 2 or 3 times now. He could have went. He sat behind Quinn Ewers for 2 years. People were like, why doesn't he just enter the transfer portal? The amount of patience he showed there, it was quite incredible. I mean, it's very old school. It's stuff you've seen before the transfer portal. Dude, you have to sit and wait your turn. That's how it worked, and he still believes in that. Clearly, he knew at some point he'd get a chance, and now he's finally getting his chance. I think he's going to be there. And the NFL is going to be wanting to push this kid into the league next year. I mean, I think he's going to be number 1 overall pick consensus unless he gets hurt. The hype is there for a reason. He was one of the greatest high school quarterbacks to ever live, and the flashes he's shown in some of the plays he's came in and played. He should have been playing over Quinn Ewers, to be completely honest with you. Last year, the fact they didn't put him in was pretty crazy. I think they could have, whether or not they would have won the national championship is still up in the air, but I think they would have had a better chance with him than Quinn Ewers. So I'm going to take Texas in that game over Ohio State. I was debating on taking Ohio State just based off experience. Arch Manning's first game, I think he shows a lot of calmness and stuff, but I know he'll be nervous. There's no way he won't be nervous. I mean, kid's been in the spotlight his whole life anyway, just being a Manning. So being in front of all those people probably isn't going to do as much as it would as for someone who doesn't necessarily have a Manning legacy behind their name and has been talked about since they were 4 years old. So, I've heard, who is Ohio State's quarterback? Oh my God, I literally was just talking about him yesterday, and this morning too. And now his name is on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't remember it. Sorry about that. But this game's kind of up in the air. If you are betting, I'd maybe avoid this game, to be honest with you. There's a lot of ups and downs on this game, a lot of question marks. If I had to take the winner, though, I did just see Texas, but maybe I'd take Ohio State. I don't know. It's so up in the air. I'm sticking with Texas. The second you start changing your mind is when your bets get all crazy. I'm sticking with Texas to win that game for sure. I think they're going to keep that number 1 seed. The next game I really like is LSU and Clemson. I was surprised how high Clemson was ranked. I seen they were ranked 4. I was pretty surprised, to be honest with you. But they do have really good players in an organization. LSU's ranked number 9. That game, I'd probably end up taking Clemson. I think LSU, or actually, no, sorry. I take LSU. I think Garrett Nussmeier is going to be a top 10 pick. I think this is the year we'll see him really break out, to be completely honest with you. People have been talking about him being disappointing in LSU. Well, I think that changes now, to be completely honest with you. I think it's going to. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people this season. He'll be in the running for the Heisman. So I'd probably take them in the upset over Clemson, to be completely honest with you. So I take Texas versus Ohio State, then I take LSU versus Clemson. So I am taking the upset with LSU. I really do believe in Garrett Nussmeier and their wide receiver university. I think their offense is going to be absolutely just humming like it always does. So, yeah, we definitely take LSU. A lot of people have been sleeping on LSU this year. I really think they're going to have a pretty stout year this year, to be honest with you. Next game I like is Notre Dame versus University of Miami. Carson Beck's first game. If you guys remember, when I first started my podcast, one of my first episodes was, can Carson Beck revive his career at University of Miami? Can he become that first, even just a second-round pick again? Because if Carson Beck were to go in the draft, he'd probably end up a 3rd or 4th-round quarterback, to be completely honest with you. So can he revive his career? Because this time last year, he was talking about going number 1 overall, and then he fell to getting hurt, and even if he didn't get hurt, he was probably going to be drafted in the 3rd round or 4th round. He fell fast. So can he revive his career? I think he could. Do I think, or will I think he'll do it in the first game? Probably not. I'd probably take Notre Dame, to be completely honest with you. I think Cam Ward was better than Carson Beck last year for Miami, so I think they have a little bit of a drop-off at quarterback. They did lose some players, but And I do like what Coach Cristobal's doing down there, though. Notre Dame is just always competitive. Notre Dame has a real feel for it right now. Like in terms of just having a good feeling, good vibes, good energy going into the season. I do like Notre Dame a lot. I am going to take Notre Dame in this game over University of Miami. As you know, they're ranked number 6. Miami's ranked number 10. I to be honest with you, whether or not, I don't care about the rankings. If I feel like a team's going to go out and beat a certain team, I'm going to take them every time. I don't care if they're not ranked, playing number 2 ranked. I mean, I know Alabama's not ranked number 2, but I'll just say Alabama. No, look at Vandy last year, Vanderbilt versus Alabama. That pretty much ended Alabama's season right there. Their season was not the same after that loss. So, but speaking of Alabama, they're ranked number 8. Number 8 ranked Alabama versus unranked Florida State. I'm kind of surprised Florida State was unranked, but not really at the same time. FSU's had a ridiculous fall off the last couple of years. Ever since Jordan Travis got hurt, you guys remember they were undefeated, and then they did make the college football playoffs, and then they didn't end up playing their starters in the bowl game, and I mean they were not happy. They were not happy about that. And that organization has not seemed to really recover since that. To be completely honest with you, I'm going to take Alabama over Florida State, though. To be honest with you, Alabama just has a lot more talent over FSU, to be honest with you. They just do. They're just a more talented team. That kind of feels like one of the easier ones of the day to me, is taking Alabama over Florida State. I would definitely roll with that. And my next game, this is kind of my surprise fun game. Those are like my top 4 games for the week, just for me personally. I have Tennessee versus Syracuse. I think that could actually end up being a really good game, to be completely honest with you. Tennessee's ranked number 24, and Syracuse is not ranked, of course, but I really think that could end up being a really fun game. I like Tennessee heading into the season a little more than some others, but I'm kind of surprised how far back they are in the rankings. I almost dropped my list on accident, but I'm kind of surprised how far they are. They're ranked number 24. Like, that's kind of crazy to me, to be completely honest with you. I think they should be ranked a little higher than that. But I think that's going to end up being a really good game. I do like that game a lot. So those are my college picks for this week. If you guys do not know which college games I turn on, I'd turn on any one of those 5. If you don't feel like watching one of the upper ranked teams, I have my surprise fun game in Tennessee versus Syracuse. Or if you could put that on, I'd definitely give that a watch. Or even if you're just watching, I just tune into any of those other games. So then I look up the score. I think there's going to be some fun stats. I think those are just going to be really good games to watch. And they're all good games. I think, whether or not you're a fan of Boise State, I'm not necessarily a fan of Boise State, but if you're a fan of Boise State, of course, you put that game number 1 to watch, of course. So who is Boise State playing? I don't know. I think they're playing an unranked team. I know that. I think Boise State will win that game. But yeah, those are my college football games and who to take this week. Oh, sorry, I didn't say Tennessee and Syracuse. I would take Tennessee in that game over Syracuse. If you do feel like betting on that game, betting on the winner or the loser, that's kind of all I'm doing here today, is just betting on the winner or the loser, whether or not you want to take the over or the under on anything, or whatever you decide to spread, anything. It's completely up to you. One thing I do have to do, and before I go on to my next topic, and why I'm not necessarily talking about the spread, the overs, unders, and stuff like that, which I would like to do, I'm working on getting my vendor's license for being able to promote sports gambling. You do have to have that in order for me to be an affiliate with DraftKings, which I would like to apply for as soon as I get that. So that'll be a couple of weeks or whenever. It'll be soon. Whenever I get my vendor's license, then I can really start putting graphics up and doing the spreads and stuff like that. But I do not want to do that right now without my vendor's license. I think I can actually get in a little bit of trouble for doing that. So that's why I'm not quite doing it to the full extent. I'm just kind of doing the winners and the losers and who to take for that. But if you want to hit my DMs, though, and you want some advice on the over-under spread, anything, hit me at talkofthetown_pod. But it will soon be discussed here on the podcast. Trust me. I cannot wait to do so. Last thing I'd like to talk about today is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting engaged. Yes, I cannot believe this is news on my podcast, but it is news quite literally everywhere because, one, it's just on the mainstream of news. I've seen it on the news. And you know what's crazy? I seen it I didn't see it on World Star, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, nothing. No social media platform, no nothing. I seen it on the NFL. The NFL app sent me a notification about Travis Kelce getting engaged to Taylor Swift. They were the first ones to report it over any other social media site. Over Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift themselves, the NFL app reported it first. And here's the thing about the NFL with the whole Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift thing. We see it as incredibly annoying. Or not everybody. I mean, I'm probably going to get crucified for saying that, to be completely honest with you. But, dude, the Swifties and even like the Kelce fans and stuff love it. They love it. And I get it. I mean, your team's winning. You're getting the Super Bowls. You have Taylor Swift constantly up on the camera supporting her team. Seems like you got the whole world with you right now. It does. And then, of course, you have your haters, especially if you're a dynasty. Everyone hated the Patriots dynasty for a while, or whatever team dynasty. Hell, even in the MLB, when the Houston Astros kind of had their dynasty a few years ago, everyone hated that. Although they had the cheating scandal and stuff, like they were spying for the trash cans or whatever it was. So that's a completely different topic for another day. But you get my point. But the thing is with the NFL sees us as a complete business model and an amazing business tactic for them to make a ton of money. The jersey sales for Kelce and the custom jersey sales for Taylor Swift have just skyrocketed. There's people out there with Chiefs Swift jerseys on, and there's a lot of them. There's not a few. There is a ton of them out there. They do not have to live in Missouri at all, or live anywhere near the stadium, or be a fan. They seen Taylor Swift was with Travis Kelce, and they immediately were Kansas City fans and watching the NFL and supporting the NFL, and that's what they love. I'm telling you, and that's why I mention it. It's because the NFL was the first one I seen it on. They sent me a notification about those two getting engaged before anything else posted it at all. They sent me a notification on my phone about it. And I was just like, wow. I mean, the NFL's going to be milking that. Every Chiefs game you're going to watch this season is going to have Taylor Swift up in the press box. And every time Travis Kelce goes to wipe his nose, there it is, right there in the box. You're going to see her right up there. It does get annoying. It does get annoying. I'm not trying to sound like I'm hating, but it genuinely does kind of get frustrating. Like literally every other play on offense, there's just Taylor Swift up there in the box, and they have to pan in on her, whether or not she's sitting with Ice Spice or whoever she's sitting up there with. It can be kind of frustrating. It can be. I'm not trying to sound like I'm hating because I don't really care that much, to be completely honest with you. But dude, like in the Super Bowl, every single time he made a catch, there was like literally like 5 seconds just panning in on her, and like it would literally just zoom in like all the way on her face. I'm like, is this necessary? And I'm not picking on Taylor Swift. It's not because I don't like Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce. Like I genuinely don't care. I don't hate them at all. Like I don't have any sort of hatred or dislike towards them at all. I'm not a fan of Taylor Swift's music, obviously, but I don't hate it or anything. I just don't listen to it. Travis Kelce, I think he can be kind of a douchebag sometimes. I remember in the AFC Championship a few years ago with the Ravens and the Chiefs. He moved Justin Tucker's ball, like threw it or something, and everyone was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, but it's not just him. There's plenty of players in the NFL who just make bad decisions and are just like, you're like, dude, why would you do that? You're kind of being a douchebag right now, to be completely honest with you. A ton of them do it. So, I don't dislike them both. I mean, if it was any team at all, I don't care if it was the Patriots, if they were constantly showing Gisele Bundchen up on the screen with Tom Brady every 2 seconds after every pass completion he made or some long pass make, bro, please stop. Please stop. I do not need to see a full-on graphic of this man's wife every single time he completes a pass or completes a 30-yard pass or whatever it is. I do not need to see it. It goes for any other team. It was the Chiefs, of course, because it's happening right now. The Titans, the Raiders, I don't care. I don't care who it is. If it was just a player's girlfriend who is significantly less popular than Taylor Swift, and every single time they go and make a sack, a pass, a catch, or anything, and are constantly on the screen, you're like, bro, why? Why are they doing this? But of course they don't do that because Taylor Swift is an extreme business model for the NFL. And that's why I'm talking about it here, is people get aggravated, including myself. Again, I can get a little aggravating, but at the end of the day, it's making them a ton of money, and I completely understand why they're doing it. It is, I forget what it was, but when they first started dating, I mean, they boosted like $300 million in revenue or something ridiculous, or like sales were up 300% or just something crazy after Taylor Swift, between the Swifties and everything. And yeah, they're going to be the first ones to report the news because they absolutely love it. They're going to put her in there every single time because the second the Swifties start looking away, whoever's watching it, if you're not a fan of football, but you're a huge fan of Taylor Swift and they view in on it, they're like, oh my God, Travis Kelce, you just did something. Look, Taylor Swift is on the screen. It's just, it's the truth. It is. It really is. And they love it. And it's a massive business model for them. And I completely understand. So, because I've seen on multiple shows on the news and stuff like that, they're like, oh, well, here it is. The NFL already getting started with the Taylor Swift stuff. It's like, of course they are. They're making a ton of money off of it. So you can't, I understand the aggravation, but you can't be mad at it. You can't, because in terms of a business, if it was me or you running the show, we do the exact same thing with the Taylor Swift drama. We would. If it's making us a ton of money, I completely get it, Roger Goodell. Unfortunately, I completely get it. And it just puts a ton of money in the league's pockets and his own. So that's all I got to talk about for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Tomorrow will be the last episode of the podcast for the week. And I'll make sure to do a review on NBA 2K26 as well next week. I'm just saying that because it comes out tomorrow, so I won't be playing that. Do a little bit of review. I know a lot of people do like when I talk about 2K on here. And if you guys like the video today, make sure to hit that like button for me. If you haven't already, like I said at the beginning of the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button for me, as it means the absolute world to me. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow.